to magic, even though people don't think that they're using magic. I mean, what is the definition for you for magic? For me, magic doesn't mean standing over a cauldron. It's like affecting change in your, manifesting change in your life via, like using yourself as the vehicle for that change. Whether you're using chemicals or stones or oils or whatever, like you are changing your circumstances by unseen forces or means or something like that. So we call it magic, when really I think it's, like you and I said, science basically. But
it really is science. And as science gets more and more, I guess, intricate, and as it, expands to look at the super big, like out in the cosmos, all the way down to the infinitesimally small things that exist in the universe, from atoms to electrons, protons, quarks, neutrons, all of that stuff. It really is, science to me is very much the language of magic. It's what actually explains how what we do works. And, a lot like you, I believe that magic is the power to create change in our perceived reality. And I think that for me, that's the most important piece of it, is because you're at the center of your universe, right? I'm at the center of my universe. Each and every single being that has consciousness on this planet, in our solar system, in the galaxy, in the universe, is each at the center of its own universe. And you see that universe based on the information that you have. And a lot of that's based on, experience that drives what you perceive, what you create, what, you manifest in front of you. It sucks because it always gets diluted down to that like power of thought that, just every time I bring that up, it just makes me cringe, because that stupid documentary, The Secret, that was on Netflix.
Stupid at one point. You and I were watching that all excited, I know I did. I bought the little book and everything. I didn't know what I know now then. So it wasn't stupid. Yeah, I guess I have to choose my words carefully. I'm learning on the internet, like, you got to choose your words super freaking carefully. And we'll talk about that later, creating your own reality with the words you choose. But I think I get annoyed by the secret, and like that phrase, the power of thought and all of that, is just because it's been, for lack of a better word, bumper stickerized, right? Like, it's just been said so many times and watered down. And I understand why it has to get watered down, because not everybody who reads the material of the science that it's based on can like actually comprehend and perceive what's being said. So it's like, it's got to get watered down and watered down and watered down. And before you know it, it's turned into a meme or a bumper sticker. And it's this like sound bite that gets passed on, like power of thought. But or it turns into, I don't know, the Bible, but we won't talk about that.
Right. I mean, that's a whole episode in and of itself.
It gets watered down so much, it turns into the Bible.
Exactly. And I think I just get annoyed by that, because it's like they don't explain deeply what that means, and all the systems and all the connections and all the connectivity that's implied within that very simple, idea of the power of your thought changes your perceived reality. And that essentially is what science is trying to explain on a quantum level. So like me being a quantum witch, that is the entire premise of my magical workings, is based on that principles and like all the principles there. But also the fact that each one of us are living in, your reality is much different than my reality. What you face on a daily basis and what you've experienced in your life has created, shaped, and molded your reality, your desires, the way you practice your magic, the way it affects everything. And I think that it's really easy to say, change your thought, change your life. But when you have a completely different set of circumstantial, environmental life happening around you that's constantly feeding you information back, you have to understand what that actually means, like as far as using your thought to change, because you have to actually be able to already shift your perspective and see your material place in a completely different mindset before you can actually create that change. And most people want it to go in the opposite order. They want their material life to change so that then they can change their perspective and change their thoughts. And it's like almost like they have this I won't believe it until I see it attitude. And with that attitude, you get nowhere with your magic.
Right. You'll never see it because you don't believe it. Yeah.
Exactly. So since we're on that topic, I want to know what's your idea? Like if somebody were to say to you, change your reality with magic, and you had to explain that in 30 seconds on an elevator ride from one floor to the other to try to get somebody to explain it, like how would you try to explain that to somebody?
Oh, in 30 seconds, I would say that you have to change your beliefs. Like you said, you have to change your beliefs. The belief is the magic. There's, whether you're a witch or a doctor or whatever, the belief is the magic. You have to have the belief and get everything out of your head that's going to stop you from believing. And one thing, that I was super excited to talk to you about this is because normally when we talk about things, there's like no scientific anything that backs up anything we're saying, but we're like, it's real, It's one of the things that I loved was when I started studying epigenetics and realizing that this is scientifically studied and gave a little bit of credence to what I'm trying to teach and what you're trying to portray or convey through magic, where the power of your thought through your experiences and your environment can change and activate or deactivate your DNA without anything ever really being done to it. It changes your body. Like it literally changes your DNA. Mental and verbal abuse is noted to rewire your DNA. It changes your brain. Narcissistic abuse specifically, which is one of the things that I went through, it will change and rewire your DNA. I know we were talking about formative years with children from the age of 0 to 6. It's important for them also to be super protected because they too can rewire and change their DNA. And when you're that young, studies say that it can't be undone because those are your formative years. But as an adult, you can go back and get rid of, it's hard, but as an adult, you can kind of figure out what rewired you and work through it. And even, God, what is it? Pseudocysis, the phantom pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
Believe that they are pregnant, that the desire and the want for a child so badly triggers their body, and they actually go through 9 months of pregnancy and there's no baby. They grow the stomach, they get nausea, they get everything because their belief is so strong it has rewired their body. Now that's scientific, that's the only thing I could find, but to me, if that's not fucking magic, then what is? Right? Is that not magic?
I mean, it's right. And so just for anybody who's watching this on the back end, or anyone who's watching this live and doesn't know what epigenetics is, like, super quick, there's been studies on epigenetics that show that from one generation to the next, fear-based, and I'm going to call them illusions because for the next generations, you're afraid of something that you technically have no reason to be afraid of. And there's one really famous experiment with that they did with rats, where every time the rat saw a cherry blossom, they would shock the rat. So sad. Right? But then they showed the next generations that in those rats, they didn't even have to shock them. Just the sight of the cherry blossoms or even the smell of the cherry blossoms automatically had that fear response. And a lot of this comes from like studies about the Holocaust and, all these generational, like in witchcraft, we talk a lot about generational trauma, ancestral trauma. And what you're really talking about in your magic is you're talking about epigenetics. So if you want to get a scientific perspective on it, Google epigenetics and check your resources, make sure they're good, good resources. You can always reach out to one of us. We're happily, give you books to read. I love assigning homework to people who who message me. But it's really true. And you brought up the fact about like the children from ages 0 to 6, 0 to 7, right? So like the numbers I have are 0 to 7. And a lot of this is the fact that like when you're young, when you're a child, you have to learn the rules of your culture scape through observation, right? So you can't read books, you don't necessarily understand movies or television or things like that. Like it's just sounds and pictures and, you know, squigglies on paper. Like you're not really understanding what that is. So everything is learned through observation. And like I said earlier, your perspective on the world is shaped on your experiences. So imagine being a child from 0 to 7. If you have any forms of abuse or neglect or sadness or, you know, and once, twice, usually you can recover, like you're good, unless it's like a super traumatic. But if it's ongoing during this entire development process, your subconscious mind, so if you have your mind as an iceberg, right, what's showing out on the tip, that's your conscious mind. Everything that's underneath is your subconscious mind, and that's all formed from 0 to 7, your subconscious mind. So your perceived reality, whether you're a reincarnation from a past life, whether you're a new energy coming to this particular plane of existence for the first time, whatever it is, you're still basing your idea, your mold, your architecture, your structure of what you can expect from this life in those first 7 years before you've ever even really truly had a formal education. And it's kind of like when you look through your tarot cards, right? Like that's represented in your Hierophant card when you go through that formal education. Everything before the Hierophant and and of course I can't think of it right now. Yeah, not the Empress. I'm like going through the order in the major arcana right now. Like, so the Magician is you like at your base when you first realize your power, right? Then you have your immediate influences, which is usually a mother, father figure, whether that's your biological parents or whoever you adopt in your life, right? How they treat you. Then you have your first outside experiences outside of the home, usually a teacher of some kind, and then you're indoctrinated into your culture scape. And everything that happens to you before you're indoctrinated into that culture of wherever you live in this particular world or universe is going to affect all the new information coming in from then on out. Do you trust people? Do you not trust people? Do you believe in yourself? Are you fear-based? Are you success-based? Are you money-based? Are you hypersexual due to, trauma in your past? Like, there's all of these things that happen that influence your magic from the times you're 0 to 7, right? And when we talk about this shadow work, like you talked about now as an adult, right? So shadow work is when you're, as an adult, typically, you start to realize all of these issues that you have in your life that are blocking your magic. You're not manifesting what you want. You don't have good relationships. You don't have the type of material abundance that you're searching for because that's what our culture scape tells you that you have to have. So you're trying to figure out what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me. So you start digging into this, shadow work to unbreak those bonds so that you can fix pretty much everything that happened to you from like that 0 to 7, maybe up to like 13, right? There's a reason why in Jewish tradition, 13 is like a magic number, just so everybody knows, right? Like you want to try to go back and fix all that trauma, and that's hard. And that to me is where you start to be able to shift your reality through your magic, right? Is every time you're able to step back into that shadow work and truly, truly, genuinely unblock things from your energy that were put there either through ancestral trauma, epigenetics, generational trauma, whatever words you want to use for it, your magic won't be fully developed until you can do it.
No, I agree. It's true because you can't move forward in your magic and change your reality until you know, A, what your reality is, how was your reality formed, and what in that reality is actually circumstantial, things that you can't control, or things that you are manifesting. When you're trying to use magic to change your reality and you're doing these money spells and they're not working, you have to look back and see, you know, what is it about me that maybe really doesn't believe I deserve money? Were you raised poor and your mother every damn day told you how poor you were, how she struggled so hard to feed you and your brother from the ages of 0 to 7? That's all you remember. That has created a blockage in your brain. You can't change your reality until you go back and accept that that wasn't your fault. You can be abundant. Maybe she wasn't abundant. Maybe she wasn't successful, but you can be. And that blockage could be your mother. It could be your father. It could be a number of things. Like you said, it could even be something that's passed down, genetically, the fear genetically. You have to identify those things before you can change it. You have to know why your reality is what it is. And that's when people come to me and they want a quick money spell, or they want this and that. It's like, do you feel like you really deserve money? Yeah, I do. How much savings do you have? Oh, well, I'm negative. I don't have good credit. I have, $200 to my name. You don't believe that you deserve to be wealthy, because if you did, every decision and purchase you made would be in alignment with, I deserve financial security. So when you know that you have $500 left to your entire name, you're not going to go out and buy the new iPhone. So you don't believe that you do. Right? You're like, damn it, I'm taking mine back tomorrow. No, it's like, you don't believe that you deserve financial success. I had to learn the same thing. We talk about this every single show. Everything comes back to the poll. I am telling you, girl, that is why. That is why. That is the poll. That was our Hogwarts, I think, isn't it? Everything goes back to the poll. Damn.
Oh my God, it's so true.
It is, but it's like, remember we said we'd make $3,000 in one day and go spend $3,001.99 the next day. And because, we didn't believe that we deserved money, even though we're making, $5,000 a week sometimes, we spent it all because our belief was broken. Our reality was not that we deserved to stack finances. It's, I worked so hard, look at what I had to do for that money. I'm going to go out and treat myself to a Louis Vuitton bag.
Right? And the thing with money, okay, I have had a lifetime battle with my relationship with money. And a lot of it fell into exactly what you just said in your talk right there, was grew up with no money, right? I grew up so far below the poverty line. Like, I think that you could adopt me for 33 cents a day somewhere, like, guaranteed.
Right.
And that stuck with me, right? Because I always saw what I wanted in other families and my friends. And I always had this jealousy of like, gee, wouldn't it be nice to have clean clothes to go to school in? Or wouldn't it be nice that in my house, instead of only having 2x4s, I had actual walls, and instead of, curtains across the doorways, I had an actual door, like things like that, right? And that's what drew me to the poll, was fast money. I made more money than I can honestly feel good about admitting, because I should have far more to show for it than I do. When I could go to work and make $5,000 in a day, you think that I'd be smart enough to put some of that away, right? And like to hold on to it and tell myself that I deserved it. I could have everything I want now, and I did. I didn't even look at price tags. If I wanted something, I had it. So I've had the most money you can have, right? Like, I was easily making middle six figures at my height of my career in dancing, right? But I also spent every single dollar of it. And I think what that came down to me, and like what I'm realizing now in my relationship with money, is that it's not money that I wanted. It's not little pieces of green paper that inherently on their own have no value, right? Like, as I'm getting older and I've left the pole and I've gone to do, tons and tons of other things, from stunt work in movies to bartending to, you know, working in every industry, in every field you can imagine, getting, you know, higher degrees and teaching and, you know, and all of these things that I've done, it's not money that I want, it's freedom. It's freedom to pursue what makes me happy. And money in itself doesn't make me happy. I can't eat money. I love food. I can't eat money. I can't build a house out of money, right? Like money can do these things for me, but it's not money itself that makes me happy. So I'm learning now that in my magic, like I personally, and somebody else said it earlier, that they like money and they have it, they don't need that sort of magic. I'm at that place in my life now where I personally don't need money magic anymore. I need magic that makes me see a world and changes and shifts my perspective and my reality in a way that says every need that I have will be met. The universe will meet it one way or another. If I need food, it's going to show up on my table. If I need a ride somewhere, it's going to show up somewhere. If I need help, if I need this, and all of that comes from the connection that we have and that we make, right? And when you wrote here, or I wrote a little note when you started talking about money spells, and the first thing that came out of my mind was, is money what you really want? So like if you're doing money spells and they're not working, maybe you need to readdress your question. Like maybe you need to think, is it truly money? Now, money can buy you a lot of things in our material world, okay? I understand the whole thing, you know, that people say, oh, whoever said money is the root of all evil was never poor and all this stuff. Like this is coming from somebody who has literally eaten paper because I didn't have any other food. So please know that I understand what it's like to not have money, and I also understand what it's like to have more money than you know what to do with. And it was, for me personally, money was never the answer. Money could buy a lot of fun material things, but it was fleeting and passing, and it left, and it never helped me ascend to a higher place of being. I remember when I was making, you know, $5,000 in a weekend, was I happy to go home with that cash? Yeah, absolutely. But did I still suffer from depression? Was I still lonely? Did I still feel not connected, not loved, not appreciated, not part of a community, not like I was actually contributing something to the world and to others? So like for me, I've learned that it's not money that I seek, it's those other things. So be careful, like when you do money spells, money can be a byproduct. Money is a very easy byproduct. And when you're living in a place of abundance and love and happiness and joy, money flows, it comes, your needs get taken care of. They truly, truly do. I believe that from the bottom of my heart.
No, I agree. Like you said, the money thing, you didn't want money, you wanted freedom. It's the same for me. Like I want freedom. You know, I never want to work for anybody else again. So I have to be thankful for everything that I have. But there's times I'll text you and I'm like, oh my God, it's so slow. I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. You know, it's because to me, it's just, oh my God, money, 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 money. But then when I sit around and think about it, all my bills are paid. I have everything that I need. I have everything to sustain myself for when times are slow. I still don't have to go work for anybody else. And,
Exactly.
and I'm surviving and thriving in this pandemic. So my reality is what I want it to be. Sometimes you have those little shitty days where you're like, you know, God, I wish this was going different. But when you look at the bigger picture, is my reality reflective of what I want? Have I manifested the reality that I desire? Yes, I have. Nothing has fallen apart in my life. Yeah, maybe things are slow now, but my reality is what I want. So it's you know, it's hard to keep yourself in check, I think. But when you have the idea and the grasp of what reality you want, you can keep those fears and anxieties in check. When you don't know what reality you want and you're struggling with money and you're sleeping on someone's couch, that is a huge signifier that you are out of touch with reality. Not any reality, but your reality. Because I know you did not want to sleep on someone's couch. I know you don't want to be homeless. I know you don't want $20 in the bank. You're out of touch with your reality. So you can't start creating your reality until you figure out what it is and what's keeping you from it. Everybody wants an abracadabra spell for magic, and people just don't really understand that magic really is psychology. It's psychology. It's psychology. It is, shadow work. It's so many painful things that are free that nobody wants to do. This shit is free. It's free. and nobody wants to do it. No, I don't want to do it. Do a money spell for me. I could do 10,000 of them for you. You're still going to be broke at the end of the year. The real magic is in changing yourself.
Yeah. And I think that that's one of the reasons that for me, like, I haven't officially stopped yet, but I'm changing the way that I approach it when I'm asked for it by clients for love spells, money spells, these types of things. I've now gotten to the point where it's like, no, I won't do it for you. I'll teach you how to, because you can't even put in the work to do your own money spell. What in the world makes you think that you are going to actually genuinely sit down and struggle through the work it takes to change your perceived reality? Because you're competing with a lot of things in perceived reality. Like, it's easy to be at home and sit and watch documentaries and read the books that I do and hear all these super positive things about, you know, living positively and changing the way you think and all of that. But it's quite another when you step outside the door, you are bombarded with this need, want, must have, you're not enough society constantly in your face telling you you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not rich enough, you're not smart enough, you're not successful enough, you don't have a nice enough car, clothes, food, whatever, right? So like, you have to be able to do the work inside of yourself to not only tune all that out, but to replace all of that with a completely different perspective. And that is so fucking hard. Like, I try so hard not to cuss on here.
I don't. I just let it rip. But
it's like, people have so little respect for how difficult that actually is. And I think I get annoyed even, and this is something that for me is hard because I watch these things, right, on Gaia and all of these, you know, metaphysical conferences and all of these like upper echelon people that are in these advanced studies. And for me, I see myself reflected a lot in that. I see a ton of white people, a ton. Right? So skin tone wise, I can relate, but it's like, I also, having been in that, you know, ivory tower of upper education, realized that even though our skin was the same color, we don't come at all from that same background at all. So we don't understand each other's struggles. So somebody can look at me or you or anybody and say, oh, just change your mindset. Just change your mindset. Change the way you think. But they don't take into play all of the systemic things that stand in your way, the way that our culture has developed over time. And I think I wrote a note. What did I write here? That's right. We live in a society of need and want and higher expectations with every generation. Like, it's hard to go out there in this world and you keep your magic with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, no matter what things pop up at you, because life is really hard and struggles are going to come at you. And it's really easy for all these people, you know, who live, that make 6 figures a year and live, you know, in the comfort of the suburbs, and their biggest worry is whether or not they're going to make it to their yoga class that day. It's really easy for them to say, oh, don't stress, don't worry, be happy. But when you're working 2, 3 jobs, side hustle, trying to run your online business, trying to get Instagram followers, trying to make sure you can pay all your bills, plus do all the laundry around the house, take care of your kids, your dogs, your spouse, your mother, your father, your grandparents. Like, when you have 50,000 different things coming at you and you're below that poverty ring, right? So like, you have every struggle in the world coming at you. It's really easy to be like, well, yeah, what's changing my mindset going to do? It doesn't change what's happening around me. It doesn't change the environment that I'm observing. So, I mean, what would be your advice for somebody, you know, who's struggling with that? Because for me, that's been the hardest thing to overcome.
I've had to overcome that too. But, you know, when I found Kevin Trudeau is one of my favorite mentors that I found, and he always talks about being happy. And one of the things that he talks about is how people say when you already have money, it's so much easier to make money. Like you said, that mom that's only worried about getting to that yoga class, and it seems like everything in their life has to work out. Some of the magic, I think, in being rich is the happiness. You can be rich and be miserable and lose all your companies and file bankruptcy and end up working at Taco Bell. How many celebrities do we know that have had that happen to you? But the happy celebrities are happy rich people that are truly internally happy, that have money, they always multiply it. And what they do touch does turn to gold. And people think because you have money, you can't make mistakes. That's not true. You can make a bad investment and lose everything. I think happiness is the key. So they are genuinely happy. So everything in their life manifests tenfold. If you are in a bad situation where your environment is shit, you can't change anything about the external. Change your internal. And when you start to become happy, you're not happy for the shithole you live in and the roaches. You're happy that you just realize the magic in life to manifest anything I need is to be happy. When you start recognizing happiness, even if it's, I'm happy I didn't miss the bus today, whatever it is, you'll start manifesting more. And I guarantee you will manifest that idea of how to get your ass out of that situation. And then you'll move away from that environment and you'll have a little apartment, you know, somewhere, a roommate situation somewhere, maybe in a different city, and then you will truly be happier. Then you build on that. I still don't have a car. I'm riding the bus. How, you know, I'm focusing on being happy, but for manifestation purposes, I'm going to do a vision board and put every car up there that I want. And while I am on that bus, I am going to recognize every time I see my dream car when I'm on the bus. If it's a you know, Challenger or whatever, every time I see a Challenger on the bus, there's my dream car. It's stalking me. There's my car. It's almost mine. There's my car. I'm going to get it. And when you get your ass in that car and you were looking up at that bus, you better thank the universe that it came through. That is the magic of being happy and being able to pull things to you. You're not happy because you're on the bus. You're happy because getting, you know, where I need to go. At least I'm not on a bicycle, but while I'm on this bus, I'm car shopping. I'm looking at every car that I want, or I'm noticing every time that car I put on my vision board pops up, and you'll manifest it. You'll pull it to you. You know, you have to try to work on internal happiness no matter what situation you're in. There was a time where I had to take, I think it was 12 buses a day. 12 buses a day because my mother didn't have a car, and so she would have to take me to the babysitters and leave me there and then pick me up. She was on the bus too. So while I'm taking 12 buses a day or whatever it is with all these transfers, she was taking 14. You know, like it literally took us 3 hours to get, you know, to one place or whatever. And I will never forget that. And she never complained. She made the bus fun. We played games on the bus, you know, like everything was fun. And I was happy. I was such a happy child. I did not know how poor we were until I moved away and got a house while my mother was still living in something I didn't want her to live in. By me growing up so happy and just being able to move on, I didn't even notice my environment or my circumstances. Like my mother is fucking amazing in that way. She has mastered, she has a PhD in the art, the magic of being happy. She's always happy. And so yeah, I'm just so lucky that my mom was a magician in that way. And I've, you know, excelled in my life in the same way. Yeah, I've had some backslides, but it's like happiness is in here. And that is one thing that I seem to have a good grasp on, even though I'm one that struggles with depression. It's like, how can you be, you know, struggling with depression and still be happy? Because I compartmentalize it. I am depressed, but this is not what I am. It's what I'm experiencing. What I am is happy, and I am a happy person that's having a depressed moment.
Yeah. And I love that you brought it back to that, right? Because it's so easy to get caught up in your happiness being reliant on material things, right? And to have this, well, once I get that, I'll be happy. Once I have the partner that loves me, I'll be happy. Once I live over there, I'll be happy. Once I move out of here, I'll be happy. And it's all contingent on whether or not we have these material things. But you brought it back so beautifully and pointed out the fact that, like, you had these beautiful, beautiful, happy moments in what other people would look at and, like, be sad for you for. And that, for me, is kind of how, like, I look at tribal communities, you know, these communities, you know, that exist all over the planet that are undeveloped. They, you know, still are very much tied to the earth. They're tied to each other. They're tied to these close-knit communities and oral histories, not even written histories. They don't have, you know, the fancy vitamins and, you know, all the luxury and the comfort that we've come accustomed to in the Western world. But I've watched anthropologists and sociologists study these people, and one of the fundamental things that they talk about when they go to, you know, work and talk and learn from these people is, are you happy? And the answer is always a resounding yes. And what is that happiness based on? It's based on their connection to each other. It's based on their connection to the earth. It's based on their understanding of all the interconnectedness that exists between us and all the way out into the stars. You know, like, they see themselves not as individual people, but as beings that exist in this overall, you know, connected universe, and they see their role in that and their part in that and what they have to play in it. And I think that for me, that's so beautiful. And that's the type of happiness and connection and love that I want to get out of life. And one of the things that I wrote down when I was making notes for this was, so I wrote down 3 of the main things that I think help you create your own reality through magic, right? And some of them we've already touched on. Number 1, the power of change lies within you. It doesn't lie in anything else. Period. Boom. Inside of you. It's your consciousness and your perception of that consciousness, right? And then we live in a universe that inherently, in and of itself, is abundant. Absolutely everything we could ever dream of already exists in the universe, right? It's just us using our minds to be able to get it. Like, you want a sandwich? That sandwich didn't exist before you made it. You had to think about it. You had to use your creative mind. You had to first imagine it in your brain. Then you had to walk your little happy ass over to the kitchen. You had to put some bread, even if it's just bread and mayo, which I don't know about you, but I ate a lot of bread and mayo sandwiches.
I hate mayonnaise.
Fried bologna.
I hate mayonnaise.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like, you actually have to create every single aspect of your life, and it all starts in your mind. From the clothes you put on to what you're going to do for the day. First, you have to imagine it, you have to think it, you have to plan it out, and you have to actually go for it. You have to take the steps that are required to put that into being. I wish I could just lay in my bed and I could visualize myself like doing all the things that I'm supposed to do, and somehow magically they're going to get done. But I have to take my physical form with me and go and do those things. And I think that that's something that people miss a little bit in magic, is all the stuff that you do with your herbs, your spices, your Play-Doh, your animal parts, your candles, your everything that you put on for this theatrics. It's all just to help you shift your consciousness out of your logical brain and into your imaginative, divine creativity. Because the minute you step out of the logical brain, which is that conscious mind, that reactive mind, it's not your subconscious. You have to actually step out of that and into a completely different way of perceiving reality, where me mixing things in a bowl actually shifts reality, where me doing these things actually makes a difference. But if you don't genuinely believe that, and if you haven't totally shifted your mindset out of that logical brain that's, especially in the westernized world, controlled by consumerism. I mean, it just is. Maybe it wasn't that way 100 years ago, 200 years, 2,000 years ago, but it is that way now. I mean, we are controlled by consumerism, and that's all in that logical, reactive brain. Once you get out of that by utilizing all your magic, then you can start to create like real change, and you can tap into all of those things in the universe that are already there. They're there. They exist. And all you have to do is reach out and go and get it and take those physical steps. And then the last thing that I wrote was, when you can let go of survival mode, then you can start to tap into your power. Survival mode is like built into our society as well too, because we sell our time for money, and we use our money to buy things. And we're in this constant loop of selling ourselves, our time, our labor, our bodies, our minds, our creativity. We're selling every single bit of ourselves to get these little green pieces of paper, to then think that we can go and live our life. But once you can finally break free of that mindset, your power goes freaking crazy, because it's no more limiting beliefs. It's not an if and then situation. It's a, here I am, let's do some shit situation.
Yeah, I agree. And also when you're creating your reality, don't worry about the how. A lot of people get so caught up in the how that they stop their magic before it even starts. You don't have to know how. Just like, when they wanted to invent the first car, they did not know how. They just knew, I don't want to take a horse anymore. I'm tired of this shit. How can I not do this? And it took forever to figure it out. When you think, I think it was Benjamin Franklin, they were trying to make him sound really ignorant in the newspaper when he was coming out with his inventions and things like that, and trying to establish that basically he was a buffoon. And what he said is, I don't have to know how to read at this certain amount of level, and I don't have to know how to know how to do math at this level, because I have money. I can hire someone that does know that, and hire someone that can proofread my work. I'm here to create. And so he basically, if he couldn't figure out how to do something, it never stopped him. He would hire someone on the spot and have them create his vision. He was such a visionary. In the light bulb, they said, well, you tried it 10,000 times or something, and you failed. And he said, I've never failed one time in my life. I just found out 10,000 ways it did not work. And on the 10,001st time, he got it. So you have to really, really, really get out of your head the how. Don't worry about the how. If you want to start a website, I don't know damn thing about starting a website, hire somebody and get your vision out there. If you don't have, read a book, read a course or whatever. Try one of those websites where it's basically built for you and just add a little bit of information. Stop worrying about the how. If you want to start your own makeup line and you're really good at makeup, but you don't know how to make the actual makeup, who gives a shit? Don't worry about that. You will find a company that has pre-made products that you can just print your company name on the box and sell. So don't worry about the how. Worry about your reality, the reality that you want to create, and focus on how to, not how to, but the steps to get to that reality. You don't have to know every damn step. You just know that it's yours, you're claiming it, and it will be your reality. And work on manifesting it. And any negative thought that comes out, in your way, and any objection or whatever obstruction, get it out of your head. And I don't need to know that right now. I don't need to worry about that. Right now, I'm just focused on my reality is in 10 years, I will be a successful makeup company owner or whatever it is. And you'll start pulling people that will help you. You'll have a conversation with someone at a coffee shop and they'll say, well, actually, I work for Kendo Products, and Kendo is the one that manufactures all Kat Von D makeup. Bam, there you go. This guy works at the factory, the company that puts the name on all of these makeup. They are actually making the makeup. Kat Von D is just the face, which is what you were looking to do with your brand. So just focus on your reality and you will pull people into that spider web of your reality that are going to help you along your journey.
Oh, exactly. And when you were saying all that, I kind of looked down and I made a quick note, because what that made me think of was, there's a quote that says, follow your dreams, they somehow know the way. And there's a science behind that, right? Like, again, these things get bumper stickerized, they get memed, they get watered down, and they lose the true depth of meaning that's in there. So on a magical level, on a scientific level, utilizing your dreams and following your dreams is not just a nice little platitude. So follow your dreams. No. Before you go to bed, you write down your dreams. You write them down. You concentrate on those bitches like you know they're going to come true.
Oh, yeah.
And then you go to sleep and you experience it in your dream. Your dream is a training ground. You see, AR, virtual reality, or whatever you want to call it, is all based on the dreamscape. The science behind it is based on trying to recreate the dreamscape. because in your dreams, the laws of physics don't apply. The laws of reality don't apply. You can go into your dream and you can actually test out different ways to get to the reality that you want to perceive when you open up your eyes, and that's lucid dreaming. So it's difficult to do, right? There's tons of books on lucid dreaming. They even now have goggles that will actually help you kind of tap into that power. I'm going to order some. I'm so excited. But yeah, maybe I'll try to get them before December when you come down here. That'd be so cool. But when you step into your dreamscape, right? Like if you step into your dreamscape and you're like, vroom, you can like set up the scene for whatever it is that you want to have, whether it's an interview you're going to go to, a date you're going to go on, something you want to try to do that's new, different, scary, difficult, hard. You know, surgeons even do this. Like I had to do this when I was in stunts, when I did stunt work for movies and television. One of the main things they made us do was we had to actually fully physically see ourselves complete the stunt before we were allowed to even attempt it on set. If I couldn't visualize myself completing it successfully, it was in my contract waivers that I had to bow out of, because if you can't see yourself successfully complete a task, before you complete that task, the odds of you doing it the way that you want and having the outcome you want are so slim. So if you can step into that dreamscape and utilize your dreams, follow the process that you've done in your dreams. You've done it before. It's not hard when you step into that waking reality. It's like old hat. It's in your muscles. It's in your body. It's in your brain. And you've already lived through the outcome that you want to have. Just like you said, like when I was homeless, did I want to live in my car? Did I know how the hell I was going to get out of my car? Did I know how I was going to break my addiction to Adderall? Did I know how I was going to, get from being a full-time sex worker and stripper to getting a PhD? Like, fuck no, I didn't. I started out with, I'm going to be a vet tech. Oh, I can actually go to college. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do that. And before you know it, like these steps just kind of unfold in front of you. And a lot of that is because you've stepped into your dreams, you've accepted that as a possible reality, and then you actively took your physical body through the motions that you've already done in your mind, and you have these successes, you have these wins, and one little win builds into another win, and then before you know, you have the law of momentum behind you, and you are anything and everything that you've ever wanted to be in your whole life. Like, what was it, not even 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, I was a full-time ballroom dance instructor. Now, you notice all these different jobs I've had, yeah. But I was a full-time ballroom dance instructor, and if you would have asked me at that point in my life, where would I be today? I'd be like, oh, well, I'd be on the travel and competition circuit. I'd probably be certifying for my judge's certificate, and, like, this was my dream and my reality at that time. But when that shifted, and I had to leave that job because of my hysterectomy, and I had to completely shift and change my reality. I didn't know what I was going to do next. I didn't know that I was going to turn into a full-time spiritual guide and, practicing professional witch and tarot reader at that moment in time. I had no idea. I didn't know how to get from where I was to where I am. But I woke up every day from those dreams that I had, and I put those actions that I saw into motion and into reality, and that is magic. If that's not magic, I don't know what is. Like,
and to help yourself get into the zone, for a lot of people, sometimes our environments are too noisy and we can't think, or we don't know how to lucid dream. One way to help yourself is seeking out sensory deprivation tanks. You can do the float tanks for, I think it's $19 or something like that for an hour, and that's a great way to
Groupon, you can get it for free. Go to Groupon.
Yeah, Groupon. Yeah, go to Groupon and do the sensory deprivation float tanks, and have a vision in your head, when you book your session, and go there and think about your reality and your dreams while you're in that, because it's kind of like being in, is it in utero or vitro? In vitro when you're in the womb?
Yeah, in utero.
In utero again when you're in vitro. You gotta go.
I'm all in vitro. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. I'm like, I don't know.
And in utero, where you're floating in the womb again, it's very calming, and that's a really good way to to think and to be. And also too, I remember when you were going to Davis and you couldn't afford it, and you said, you know what, I got accepted to this great program, so I dreamed school, the housing I can't afford. I'm like, what are you going to do? You said, I don't know, I'm already here, I'll figure it out. And you had no clue how the hell you were going to pay that $5.
And I just got fired from my job. Right before I had to leave for Davis, I got fired from my job. Why? Because I was an alcoholic and I was a bartender and bitch was drinking too much and closing the bar down early, doing stupid things. Or I had no idea what I was doing. No idea. So like I can sit here and preach all I want, like, and people who watch can be like, oh yeah, it was this pretty little white girl with a silver spoon in her mouth. No.
No, yeah, no, you never had a silver spoon. I remember you like, I'm gonna figure out I'm here. I'm like, you go, bitch, I love you. Like, you're just the strongest. Like, you showed up and you're like, I don't know, I don't have any money, I'm going to this school. And you did it.
And it's hard though, and it's I'm not going to sit here and say that it's easy. You have to be willing to struggle, and you have to be willing. There's sacrifice in everything. So like if you want to use your magic to change your reality, ask yourself, what in your reality right now are you willing to lose in order to get what you want? Because you're going to lose something. Because the reason you're not there right now is because you're holding on to something that's holding you back. Mm-hmm. And the minute you can let go of that baggage, that it can be a physical thing, it can be a relationship that you're in, it can be a mental problem, it can be all of the above and then some. But only you know, like, you have to look at your life and go, okay, what am I willing to change? What am I willing to let go of, and what am I holding on to as part of my I am? Like when you say that sentence out loud and then finish it, I am blank. I am blank. You just identified yourself and limited yourself with that sentence.
Depending on what you said after it, you know.
Well, yeah, of course, depending on what you say after, right? Like if I say I am infinite, bitch, I'm infinite, right? But that's a statement that I had to start saying to myself, like, I am infinite. I exist here, there, over there, and it does not matter what happens in this life, because I've had my reality shattered just like you have so many times. So you can't attach yourself to anything that you have in a physical plane. You can't attach yourself to past identities. You can't attach yourself to things, because the minute you attach there, you're tethered to that thing, to that I am, to that I have, or that I want, or that I need, right? But if you just start to live in your present moment and you utilize your magic in a way that, you know, you just have full, utter confidence and faith that you can and will get what you want at the end of the day, the universe is gonna conspire to bring that to you. And we talked about this book before. It's funny because I was rereading some of this book today, and this book right here, that's the entire premise of this book. And if you truly, truly, truly have your, you know, Freddie Mercury moment and you say, you know what, I don't give a crap that my teeth are bad and I look ugly. I'm a good ass singer and people are going to listen to me. Get out there and do it. Like whatever that moment is for you, like whatever that thing is that you wake up every day and it fills you with true and genuine joy, and also can inspire that in other people, you're on the right track and you're using your magic, and you will create the reality that you want.
Yeah, and not having, don't be devastated by setbacks. Like feel it and try to get over it as fast as possible, because sometimes a setback is just a redirection. Like it is, you have to believe that your reality is coming true, and everything that happens is happening for you and not to you. So you got fired from that job. For the people that are going to watch this on your Patreon and people that are going to watch it later, she got fired from her job and for drinking too much and everything else. She had no money. She went to this school, didn't know how she was going to pay for it. This bitch graduated as a valedictorian of that college. She was the first lesbian valedictorian of that school. She graduated with honors, and that's from being fired for being an alcoholic at her job to stepping in her glory and making history at that school that she couldn't afford. So you have to just hold on to your vision and know that everything is not happening to you. It's a redirection, and you just need to find out where it's redirecting you to. And if you don't like it, try to figure out how to change the course of it, but don't let it decimate you and make you give up.
Exactly. I think just I agree with every tiny little bit of that. I want to make sure that I hit all the points that I want to, because I know we only have a few minutes left, but
seconds left.
I mean, when it comes to using your magic to create your reality, like, my end all be all on this is like, please, please, please don't get stuck and limited in what you're finding online, right? Like, magic existed so far beyond before the internet was even conceptualized and conceived. Like, the internet's based on magical principles, just so everybody knows, you know. But don't get stuck in like all of these little things that you either have to have the right tools, or you have to have the right book, or you have to call on the right deities or demons, or all of these things. Like, the power is inside of you first and foremost, period. Every single thing that you choose to do afterwards, using your magic as part of that, will only happen if you truly, genuinely, with zero doubt in your mind, happen. The moment doubt creeps into your mind, you open up a possibility for shit to go wrong. Because, like, if you're one speck in the universe, you can at any moment go up, down, left, right, sideways, up, through, around. Like, every single choice exists all at once. But if you have tunnel vision on your dream and your focus, there is nothing that can steer you and your magic off course. But the moment you doubt yourself and your own magical powers, the moment you don't think that you can actually do it, or that you don't have a say over what's happening in your own life, is the moment that will break. And from experience, I know you and I both can say that that's true.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we have like closing a couple seconds. What did you change your channel to? What's the name of your, did you change it?
Of what?
Is it still American Witch in Brazil, or is it Motivation?
Oh, yes. So for everyone who's watching, my main site has a shadow ban on it because I've posted too many Black Lives Matter, and I posted this thing of me dancing with tarot cards where my mastectomy scars showed, and I got banned from Facebook. I got kicked off of TikTok. Instagram let it show until I got to about 3,500 views, and then it just like slammed it down. So I'm on a shadow ban on my main account. Right now I'm on motivation_magic_tarot. This is my 2.0. It may become my full page if I can't get that shadow ban off of my other one. But I also, in the 29 seconds, I'm going to post all the links to the Facebook. I'm going to post all the links to my Patreon. Make sure you're there, and make sure you're getting with Ms. Voodoo Doll over here, and on either one of her pages, and you are booking those appointments. You're getting those spells, those tarot readings, and all of the magic.
Awesome. Love you, girl. I'll see you next week.
All right. See you next week. Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.